This Sunday, 24 July, visit West Ashfield to enjoy free live music by the talented duo Catcher, performing at the Garden from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m, followed by watching Round 19, where the West Tigers take on the Cowboys. Game kicks off from 4:05 p.m, live and loud from the lounge and sports bar. West Ashfield, home of the West Tigers. West Ashfield, 115 Liverpool Road, Ashfield. For more information, visit Ashfield's website, westashfield.com.au, or follow them on Facebook or Instagram at West Ashfield. And welcome into another episode of the WestsLife Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Barnett. As always, we are sponsored by West Ashfield Leagues, the best place to watch the game live and loud, and you can do that on Sunday afternoon when we take on the Cowboys, which we are going to preview tonight. And, of course, MG Pump Solutions. Big Shane did promise today. He sent me a message. He said he'll come back on soon. He's trying to work up the courage to get back on the show. Not the courage, just the motivation is probably a better word. Who knows? Maybe the Benji and Robbie news can convince Shane to start talking footy again. But we've got the trio tonight. And give us a follow on the socials at WestsLife Pod on Instagram and Twitter if you want to support and take part in the show. The Discord, and join our Discord. The Discord's been firing off a lot lately, and the guys, I mean, even helping building the slideshow today. I even pulled a few stuff that the guys were posting in there today. They're actually helping me build the show up before we go live at air. We don't miss a single thing. So patreon.com/WestsLife and YouTube. I can see that people trickling in on the live stream on YouTube. Please, subscribe, like, and notifications on so you don't miss a show on there. I've got my usual sidekicks with me tonight. I'll go to Mr. Bashara first. Rob, how are you on a Thursday evening? And this is probably a bad comment to say for people listening back, but it might be bad in hindsight, but para losing always starts the weekend off nicely as well.
Yeah, good evening, Josh. G'day, Tiger buddies. It's a crazy game. Started off 4-0 para, and it's just been all Brisbane after that. So they're running away with it, I think 22-4 with a kick to come and a man in the sin bin for para. So, not looking too good. Maybe Mitch Moses does want to come back home. Yeah,
that's a good point. And he's all the way back in Orange. We did the show all together. It was nice of Az to come in Sydney, and we could have our three-peat around the table and have a show in the same room. But he's back in countryside. I hope you had a safe trip back. Az, how are you on a Thursday evening?
Thanks, Josh. Yeah, it was a nice trip back, kind of boring. Usually is. Often I'd be heading back on a weekend or something, so I'd have some footy to listen to on the radio, but nope, it was a quiet one. So I was streaming some podcasts for my travel entertainment. Speaking of the game that's on now, I was saying to the guys off air before we came on, I'm quite happy with my upset tip so far. It's looking not too shabby. It's nice to watch games and not have to worry about the Tigers until, last game of the round.
Other than this one, of course, what are your go-to podcasts, Aaron?
I listen to a lot of Reddit stories. So people posting or reading out, like narrating stories from Reddit. So there's a few of those that I listen to.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
It is, yeah. I listen to this one called r/ is probably my most common one. So he's good at it. Brings a lot of entertainment to them. So I don't get to spend as much time listening to this podcast anymore. I've been on it too often.
Yeah, you've been on it. Yeah. So what's the point? It kind of ruins it for you, doesn't it? Plenty to talk about. We'll talk about the game itself, but we've got a fair amount of news to get to. tonight, including a pretty interesting interview by Mr. Sheens, who unfortunately has contracted COVID along with Noddy Kamali. But but we'll get to that in a second. Lower grades, pretty quickly for lower grades this weekend. None. Literally no lower grades. New South Wales Cup and Jersey Flag have a bye. And, of course, our New South Wales women's premiership women, they won the comp last week, and we'll repeat that every single week. Give the girls a shout
Just think, Josh, this time next year we'll be preparing and very excited for our inaugural NRLW season.
Can't wait, yeah. Right, so we'll move on to the news. Now, Cameron, we'll just, look, we won't dwell on this one. We had to touch on it. It doesn't involve us at all, really, but Cam Ciraldo has apparently is going to. It's not official, but it seems pretty likely he's going to coach the Bulldogs next year. He said no to us. That's why we're talking about it. So, Rob, are you? I tweeted out on the WestsLife Pod Twitter that it's kind of a little bit embarrassing for us that someone's chosen the Bulldogs, not necessarily because it'd be a good thing to have him as coach, because who knows, maybe he works out, maybe he doesn't. But the fact that he chose the Bulldogs and not us, I mean, who knows? Maybe they offered a lot more money. I don't know. But is it embarrassing, or were you just like meh, Rob?
I wouldn't say embarrassing, Josh. I'd just say it's probably a vote of no confidence from Ciraldo in what he saw and how much work he had to do, and the chances of him succeeding as a Tigers coach. So, look, I actually think we dodged a bullet personally. So I'm glad he's not coming. But yeah, I mean, for a coach that was meant to be, almost signed, and we put all our eggs in that basket, and then for him to say, no, I'm not ready yet, now's not the right time, et cetera, and then 2 to 3 weeks later, it looks like he's going to join another club. I mean, it's not a good look for us, but who cares? I mean, it's done now.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? Would you be more excited if Ciraldo signed, or more excited if basically what's going on now? So does Benji and Robbie excite you more than Cameron Ciraldo taking over the team?
In retrospect and in hindsight, I think I'm more excited for the Benji news now that it's actually happened. I'm just not too keen on the whole Ciraldo thing. Obviously, I thought it was the best idea going forward, but it was pretty clear that we need an experienced coach, and we're going to have an experienced coach for 2 seasons who's going to give the mother of all apprenticeships to the next coach. So, I mean, only time will tell. Maybe we'll end up better than the Broncos in a few years, especially if Ciraldo's the coach, which I bloody well hope we do.
I mean, going off from reactions through our socials, it was kind of 50-50, the Ciraldo thing. A lot of people were saying, look, he's inexperienced. Why would you throw 5 years at him? An assistant coach from Penrith, Trent Barrett, blah, 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 all sorts of reasoning. Some were keen for it. Whereas the Benji and Robbie, I don't know, how would you put the reaction on a percentage on the reaction, Rob? I reckon it's about 80% keen for Robbie and Benji.
Yeah, look, I think there's definitely some resentment to going with inexperienced coaches, but obviously there's a lot of love for Benji and Robbie. I don't think any of the negative for Benji and Robbie is a reflection of them wanting Ciraldo. I just think it's just down to, the 20% that you're talking about, if that's the number. That'd probably just be the fact that they've never coached before. But I actually think Sheens is really there just from a protection point of view for Benji in particular in terms of the media. I really think the fact that Benji, you'll touch on it, I guess, shortly, but the fact that Benji's, resigning from his Fox Sports commitments, I think that's shows me that he's taking over the reins, guys. I mean, Sheen, obviously Sheens will be, putting his, 2 cents worth in there, but I think Benji's going to be pretty hands-on and making a lot of the decisions. And if anything does go wrong, Sheens will be taking the blame or taking the heat off him for quite a while.
Benjamin Barrett on YouTube says Ciraldo is a key to Penrith juniors and knows them which one's to target. But the thing is, I mean, the Bulldogs cap. What's the cap situation that you said it was the other day, Rob? It was.
Oh, look, their cap situation's pretty dire because Gould was meant to meet with Sheens today, and they were talking about possible player swaps and all that sort of thing. But I guess if Ciraldo's, looked at what we've got and looked at what Canterbury's got, and the fact that he knows that, they've signed Reid Marty and they're getting, Viliami kick out to join, the buyers that they've already burnt in Burton and to Vita Pengai Jr., etc. He probably just thought, Canterbury's a bit better for him, and he's obviously worked with Gould before, and I guess I think probably the Gould factor there is what swayed it, or I don't want to bag our club any more than I already have, mate. I just think he didn't really like what he saw there, and his excuse, whether it's true or not, was you guys need an experienced coach. I'm not the guy for it. So that really just the whole, whether it's embarrassing or disappointing or whatever, it's just not a good look for our management and our club.
Yeah, maybe it's just people that coach Penrith are liars. Righto. A little story that popped up during the week. I did notice this on social media on Benji Marshall's Instagram, and I meant to screenshot it and totally forgot. But Scotty Prince, when Benji Marshall put up an Instagram post of the most pixelated photo ever. Like, it's a photo that's literally on your wallpaper, Aaron, which you found on Google in about not to put down our king, but you found that photo before we went on air in about 40 seconds. He posted the same photo and it had about 16 bit of pixels in it. But anyway, under that post, I did notice Scotty Prince comment. There was so many comments. It just showed another big thing about Benji as well is just how many players across the league, ex-players, were congratulating, like, so happy for him. Current players, like our players as well. So another reason to be so excited. But I did notice Princey write, "Do you need a halves coach?" I'm like, is he joking there? Is he? But but no. Apparently, he's pretty keen. Do you reckon Scotty Prince being involved with the club be a good thing?
I mean, I wouldn't say no. If you're talking about getting the 05 band back together, including the drummer, as Scotty referred to himself, I think it can only be a good thing. They have the experience. They know what it's like to be a Tiger. They were Tigers during what was a difficult period leading up to the most successful year the club's had. If there's anyone to bring or if there's any group of players or ex-players to bring a winning culture to the Tigers, it's the same group that brought the premiership to us back in 05.
Absolutely. And who's your favourite drummer? Who's a bit of all time as? Put you on the spot.
To be completely honest, I don't really know the names of any drummers off the top of my head.
Rob Hurst from Midnight Oil for me. Have you got any favourite drummers, Rob?
Yeah, Scott Prince from 2005.
Oh, okay. I'll pay that.
Bravo.
But yeah, Rob, thoughts on Scotty Prince?
Yeah, like you, Josh, I thought it was a joke because I actually saw that tweet and he tagged Benji and Robbie on.
Oh, he tweeted as well. I saw it on Instagram.
Yeah, no. I saw it on Twitter, thought it was a joke. Then when Molly ran with the story, I thought, okay, what's going on here? Look, he'd be a great halves coach, but, as I said last week, if Sheensy's taking the DeLorean back and getting Benji and Robbie and, maybe Hino and Gibbs, he's going to need a bus, not a DeLorean. So looks like they're just bringing the whole band of brothers back together. So, look, whatever they decide, mate, that's, I don't mind getting a bit of spirit and, West Tigers men back in the club. I've said that all along, but, there will be some of our supporters, and especially supporters from other clubs, being a bit cynical that, what are these guys doing? They're going to get, Gibbs and Heinington and, Prince and Marshall and Farah and all these names. Pat Richards is already there. So Scando's there. So it's literally like 6 or 7 players if they go down that path. But I think it's good for the ex-players to get involved in some degree. But look, it's also a bit of PR, I think, as well. So, everyone's trying to feel good about it. But look, we've hung on to 2005 for so long. So hopefully we can get some more out of that 2005 year.
You said Heino there. He's a conditioning coach up in terrible on the Central Coast. I know for a fact because his gym is my old bedroom because he bought my parents' house off me.
Well,
But,
I read somewhere today. That he's actually just doing like helping in a very small part-time way. Like I think just
as in helping the Tigers.
As in helping the Tigers right now.
Yeah,
Just
cool.
just occasionally. So
yeah,
it's quite interesting.
A fun story. I can't remember if I've told this on the show or not, but when he bought my parents' house, my parents basically rented off him for a few months just while they found a house to live in. And when we were out and he wanted to do something around the house, he actually brought Benji. I don't know if Rob, it was a couple other players at the time. This was about, what year was that? 2012. So it was around that era. And I only found out after. So my sister had a piano. So Benji actually got on my piano, which was a Marshall brand piano, funny enough. Was apparently playing my sister's piano in the lounge room. And so that was a pretty cool story to come home to, that Benji Marshall had played it. My sister probably played it 4 times. She never actually played it. I think Benji, so at least someone did. But just a funny story that hopefully at least 3 of our listeners enjoyed. A bit of PR will help the club out a little bit here, straight from the West Tigers website. So for our fans in Brisbane, it's a little bit of a backhanded compliment, this one, which I'll get to in a second. But they're doing a meet and greet for our Brisbane fans. We play the Broncos next week, so it's a Queensland road trip for the boys, North Queensland this week, and then down to Brisbane next week. They're doing. I'll read this whole blurb for the club. The entire squad will be available for photos, autographs, and a general chit chat at this meet and greet. So there'll be some finger food provided as part of your ticket. You might even win yourself a signed jersey on the night. The adult price for the meet and greet with a ticket is $95. That gains you entry to the Friday night event and a match ticket for Saturday night at Suncorp. Or if you've already got tickets to the game but still wish to attend, standalone event only tickets are available for $70. Junior tickets are available for ages 4 to 12. Contact the membership team for additional information. Call West Tigers 8741-3300. Go to their website. I'm sure if you're keen, go to the West Tigers website. Now, the backhanded compliment, Rob, $70. Like I get, like, I'm a believer in things cost money and staff costings. They got to rent the room, cost blah blah blah. But man, $70 for a meet and greet, is that a bit steep? Like, I know inflation and cost of living and wages, etc. I mean, $70 for a meet and greet, man. Like, am I being a tight ass? I mean, I bought Ed Sheeran tickets for like $100. Like, $70 for a meet and greet for a footy team, is that pushing it?
Oh, look, it's probably pushing it. I mean, I guess not many Brisbane people are going to get to meet our players or what have you. So the club probably thinks it's probably a fair price. But for me, like, if it's costing more than to get into the footy to watch your team play, then I think it's probably a little bit high. Like, maybe $40 or $50 for adults. And I don't know. I'm sure the club have got their reasons for it. I'm not exactly a marketing guru or anything like that. So but I think it's a bit pricey. Like, look, I mean, I did the night of the coaches back when Jason Taylor was coach. That was quite significant at the time. But I mean, my youngest boy wanted to get into studying some sports as a tertiary thing. So I just thought that was good for him to go there. It was quite pricey, but it was really good. Like, they had, I think, 5 different stations, and you got to speak to, Taylor. You got to speak to the defensive coaches at the time. That one of them was David Kidwell. They had the strength and conditioning and what they were doing for fitness and all that sort of stuff. So it's actually really a good insight. But just for a meet and greet, I think that's a little bit too much. But as I said, I'm not a marketing expert.
As if the Tigers came to Orange, would you pay $70 to go to a meet and greet?
Probably not 70. I don't think there's anywhere ritzy enough or fancy enough in Orange where they could charge get
Could be
away with
Chinese
charging
restaurant or
$70
something.
for. I don't know, maybe $40-$50, but yeah, I do feel 70 is a little bit steep.
Yeah, I get it. I don't know. Maybe it's limited. Like you said, Rob, there's reasonings for it, but I just felt like maybe they are doing something. Yeah,
I mean, maybe it includes some food or, like some
it's a finger food.
nibblies or
Yeah,
drinks
finger food.
Okay, finger
It's just-
food and drinks. I mean,
yeah.
that's got to cost a little bit. So,
Yeah.
All
right, I'm just tight ass.
I mean, Aaron pays that going to the game in fuel anyway, doesn't he?
Depends what he drives.
Well, I mean, it's more than $100 a
These
tank
days.
to fuel up now. So, and I get maybe between a half and three-quarters of a tank out of a round trip to Sydney and back. So,
Yeah.
And you got the same membership as me. You're paying about $45 a game. That's what you throw
a little bit less because I've got the concession one, so that brings the costs down for me a little bit. But yeah, same membership regard, despite it.
But if you're not a member, as old mate says, yeah. But how many people like you travel from far and wide to go to games? Anyway,
I know of you from Newey, so I think that's
yeah.
Than me, that's the furthest stuff I've heard of fans/members traveling for the games.
Yep.
That guy who did the kick into the inflatable washing machine at halftime last weekend, he was from Newey. Yeah,
right. Okay, someone mentioned this earlier in the comments, so I've clipped I didn't clip it. This was in the Discord today. Shouts to whoever posted this. I can't remember who, but I literally just pulled it straight from the Discord today because this little quote from Brent Reed on NRL 360, yes, maybe we're a little bit desperate quoting NRL 360 on the show, but the fact that he said, talking about the meeting, as Rob mentioned earlier, between Sheens and what's his name? Gus Gould incoming. It was meant to happen, but of course Sheensy has COVID, so they can't meet up. Maybe would Sheensy know how to use Zoom, do you reckon, Rob? Surely
he was Zooming Lee and Justin from England the whole time everything was going on late last year. So
maybe they can Zoom.
They might have still had that meeting, you don't know.
Yeah, so apparently they're talking about player trades. So and Brent Reed reckons, the Bulldogs said we'd love Jackson Hastings. I reckon the Tigers would go, he's all yours. Rob, why would Brent Reed say this?
I'm not too sure why he'd say that. I think he said that last night because I watched 360. I'm very sure he said that last night. Look, I mean, I don't know if he's, maybe he's unpopular amongst the playing group, or maybe Tim Sheens, as I've said many weeks ago, sees him as a lock forward and for some reason doesn't see him as a half. The most intriguing part about it is, to me, the fact that they'd be looking to get rid of him says that they're going to keep Luke Brooks, which I find staggering as a number 7. I really do.
The centre of excellence might be burnt down if that's the case.
Yeah, I don't know what that's all about. I'm not going to bag Luke Brooks. As I said on Twitter last night or the night before, I think Luke Brooks' best position is 5'8", but Adam Dewey's a better 5'8", and you can't play two blokes in one spot. And what we did last Sunday was absolutely ludicrous. I can't believe some of our supporters are just sold by the fact that, we lost by 2 points or whatever it was, because that was a rubbish performance till about the last 20 minutes as a collective. So, we need to show a lot more intensity than that. You just can't play for 20 minutes and expect to win. And you can't play with, a dummy half and 4 forwards and Jacko having to play halfback and a bit of lock in the second half. It was just ridiculous. So I think we're going to see it again this week, unfortunately, which is crazy because the Cowboys should just roll through us being a forward light. But I hope after this week, someone's going to get dropped. We just can't carry the 3 blokes in the one team, unless one of them was playing centre or something like that. But Jacko did not play as a lock forward last week. He was not only our first receiver, he was directing traffic. He was making all the plays. So just because he had number 13 on his back, don't be fooled by it. He played halfback. So we literally went with 3 halves, and it was a recipe for disaster.
Rachel, regular streamer on Facebook. She says, rumors say AD and Hastings don't get on. We have heard these rumors as well. So, yeah, it's, man, Aaron, I just got a new Messiah. Do I really have to find another one? Like, the Jackson Hastings dream is over before it barely began?
Honestly, mate, I bloody hope not. He's been a revelation for us this year. He had a few really
pre-injury
really
he was.
weeks. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like before he started playing on that injured foot, he was an absolute revelation. Once he moved into the 7 after a suspension, we noticed the effect he had basically instantly in those first 2 games after he came back that we won. So I really hope he doesn't go anywhere, but I wouldn't begrudge him if he left. Given the fact that Madge signed him, and I don't think he was too happy when Madge got sacked. I think he, for all intents and purposes, remained professional, but maybe he has been a little bit dirty at the club since then.
Is there someone from the Bulldogs you'd trade for him? Because the Bulldogs, the Bulldogs have got a free cap space, hence the trade. I mean, I wish the NRL could. Why can't we just do trades like other sports? Like AFL does it. Why can't we trade players? But anyway, is there anyone you'd trade Jackson? Who from the Bulldogs do you think they'd be willing to send over?
I don't know. I mean, maybe we could try and get a forward off them. My gut feeling would be Benji trying to get his brother back over. Though I'm not sure if that would be
where
ideal
would he play?
or not. Exactly. We've got a few
We've
too
got
many hookers.
We've got too many hookers. Yeah.
No, Marshall King's going to the Dolphins. He's
already signed the Dolphins.
Oh, okay, there you go. I didn't hear that one. So
yeah, that was about a week ago, maybe a week.
And they got Anthony Milford today. I saw as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. As for I don't know. Give me a few minutes to look at the Dogs roster, and
No, that's all right. It's a quick hitter. Don't worry. Don't think too hard about it. So Tim Sheens had a pretty good interview with Scott Sattler and Gary Belcher. Yep. On their show, I can't remember what it's called, but yeah, just type in Tim Sheens into your podcast app with Scott Sattler or Gary Belcher, and you should be able to find it.
SEN Radio 1170.
Thanks, Rob. I should have written it down.
Okay.
I've made a few notes, just a few interesting things. It's a very, very interesting interview. Rob sent me the link or tipped me off about it earlier in the week. Had a listen to it. Oh, Gussie's in the comment. Good to see you, Gussie. I haven't seen you for a while in the comments. Tim Sheens, a couple of things. So basically, he said he's got to get Benji and all the staff, everything into place basically by November 1. He wants to get cracking. There's a World Cup coming as well, so he's not sure. Obviously, some players will be overseas for that, but he really wants to get Benji and Robbie. And yeah, as you said earlier, Rob, Benji, that is, he quit his Fox Sports job literally overnight. So yeah, it looks like they're going to get cracking. I mean, the next season starts now, so especially for us. So yeah, Sheens wants to get cracking. He said Benji will be basically involved with every department. He called it an intense apprenticeship that Benji will get. He said most of our young kids are 3 years away. We've locked up all the ones that we want to keep. They're all locked in. So any fear of kids, juniors, that Sheensy's made sure that the good ones are all locked in. Rob, how confident are you in Sheensy's eye for talent still?
Oh, I'm not going to doubt his eye for talent. I'm sure he's still got it, and he's obviously got men underneath him that are doing the scouting for that and giving him good reports. It is still, like, even when you're talking about 17-year-olds, even if they come into grade they're still going to need time, Josh, to be successful. Like, Benji started in 2003, didn't hit his straps till 2005. I think Robbie in 2004. So it doesn't mean, I think it's quite a long-term plan. I'm excited. The most exciting thing is Benji Marshall coming straight away, because I've said we need Tim to step in. We need urgency now. And obviously Benji's got to, look into how things are at the moment. I mean, obviously Jacko, even though he's captain, for some reason he's basically out of favour in terms of being a half. So that actually worries me a little bit. So he's really our third half at the moment, which just sounds ludicrous. So look, he said Sheens is a good talker and he's nice to listen to. He's very convincing with how he delivers his spiel, but I just don't know if we're going to have success straight away. He said all the right things, but I'm watching what I see every week, and I'm thinking, okay, well, even if we have all these hotshot kids, when are they arriving? 2025, and then maybe they'll be, peaking at 2027. Like, we're still 3 to 5 years away from serious success. We might snag a year where we're fringe top 8 or something like that, but we've just got to be patient. And I think we're all sick of being patient, Josh. But it is what it is. I'm just happy that Benji's, coming in now, and I actually think Sheens is really there to shield the media from Benji and Robbie. I think Benji's going to have, like you said, when he says intense apprenticeship, I think it's going to be a bit more than intense apprenticeship. I think Benji's basically going to be coaching from the get-go, and Sheens will be just taking any heat in case things go pear-shaped.
Sheensy also said we're the worst side in the comp for scoring points, so he wants to turn that around. So by the sounds of it, I mean, he's playing the hits. He's bringing back 2005, arguably the best attacking side. Am I being biased when I call it the best attacking side in rugby league history? Maybe a little bit. But
not at all. Not at all. The greatest rugby league excitement machine in history, without a doubt.
I think a lot of non-Tigers fans would agree. Like, it's just, you watch the highlights of it, and it's just.
I was about to say, you look at some of the tries on that 05 highlight reel. You've got the Benji at Cronulla. I mean, to be fair, Benji was a contributing factor to a whole lot of that 2005 highlight reel. So I heard he's going to have some. He and Robbie are going to mostly be focusing on the attack coaching, was it?
Yeah,
correct.
Yeah, and he did say the next point was Benji and Robbie all think alike and are going to recruit alike. So yeah, it sounds like exciting attacking players. But yeah, you're right. Benji Marshall's a once in a generation talent. I was just thinking the other day, like, I feel like when you watch highlights of him, I feel like you took him for granted. Just like the things he could do. There's still not really a player that does things that he did at his peak. Like, it's just time passes you by, Rob, so quickly, and people go out of your life like Benji. But
you just look at all the players now, like even just guys that return kicks from a downfield kick, they all do that little hop in the air before they take off. Like, it's just like a common thing now, where he was the first bloke to do that. I think he was the first to do it. Then maybe Carmichael Hunt kind of copied a little bit. Now everyone does it. So yeah, he was an innovator, and a lot of players modelled themselves on Benji. And but it's just funny how we went from Taylor saying we needed to bring some defence in, and then Madge bring some defence in, and now we're going back to 2005. So look, I think it's in our DNA to play that attacking style, but we still have to be tough in defence. Like, even in 2005, I think we conceded 40 points in 4 games of semi-finals. So we averaged 10 points a game thereabouts. So you still got to defend it, no matter how flashy you are.
You said the salary cap, it looks very good. We kind of knew this already. In the next 12 months, he said 24. Basically, got 24 players locked down for the next 2 years, which sounds about right. So that would mean there's obviously quite a few coming off contract this year. Which says who they want. So they might not necessarily be locked in yet, but so by the sounds of it, they're going to start throwing contracts to current players, to lock them in. So that my math says there's about 6 players at the club who will be saying goodbye soon enough.
Yeah, maybe a bit more than that if you think that there's a few of the juniors coming up and through the ranks that obviously players we've already got
Of course,
signed there
yeah.
are going to have to make way for.
Yep. Didn't even think about that. You better at maths than me.
That's
Um,
my best subject at school. It's got to be good for something.
yeah, it was mine too. Funny enough, but that's why I got into journalism. If you're good enough, you're old enough. He said that. So Rob, it looks like we're going to have a lot of 19, 20-year-olds making their debuts. We've already seen a couple this year. I mean, what's your thoughts on giving kids a crack early?
Yeah, I think there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, I think Sheensy was the first one to give Tedesco a crack in 2012, and he injured himself in the first game. I think it was against Cronulla. So
it was the photo behind Az. It was that game.
Okay. Oh, there you go. But yeah, obviously he's blooded.
12.
Not just, if you go back to that other era, the Chris Heiningtons, the Bronson Harrisons, the Liam Fultons, he blooded all those guys. My concern with what he said in particular about the salary cap, that we can't compete with the salary cap. I know he wants to, to draw out the loyalty factor in those kids coming through, which is wonderful. Yeah. But it's not gonna stop the clubs like the Roosters and the Melbournes that don't have the big junior bases of not just throwing what at them, and us for sure and certain being able to keep them. Like you look at Keebra Park, like everyone talks about what we had in Keebra Park. We basically got 3 players out of that were worth anything in 20 years. We got Benji, we got Ben Teo, and I think we got Thomas McKaylee, and like Brisbane Broncos. They got Payne Haas, you know what I mean? Like they plucked the eyes out of it. So I just hope if there's a gun junior there that the Roosters don't come up and say, hey, do you want to come and join us and play with Tedesco, Suwali, Brandon Smith, whoever. So we've got to make sure that those juniors, if they look the goods, that we can upgrade them. That's why the cap can't be mucked around with anymore. So it's great having the juniors coming through, but I don't think there's any guarantee that we keep them all. And it's been proven in the past the way the club's been. We've lost Tedesco, we lost Moses, we've lost Pappenhausen, we've lost countless others. So it's all well and good to say they're coming through, but you got to find a way to keep them, because if we can't compete with third-party agreements and we get the next Benji Marshall or the next Robbie Farah, how do we compete with the Roosters?
Yeah,
in terms of the money side, like emotional only get you so far, and even if we have some success one year and get to a grand final or whatever, then they might go off the next year. So that did disturb me a little bit, but at least he was being honest about it.
Yeah. He said. He also said we're financially strong. Centre of Excellence opens in the next couple of months, and the club's spending a lot more money on football. Which, Rob, I'll go back to you there. Why now? To quote The Simpsons, why now? Why not 12 years ago?
Well, look, to be fair, I mean, when Lee Hadjipentelis came out recently in the media, he said that they'd spent an extra just over, I think it was 2.1 million, were his words, on the football department. So we are spending the money on the football department. We just haven't seen the results. We haven't been able to get the big names. We've got 2 big names coming next year. Hopefully, Papali'i still wants to come, but it seems like he will come, hopefully. Benji's had a chat to him again. So look, I mean, when you put all that money into a footy department, you don't bear the fruits straight away. So like I say, we want success next year, or we want success the year after, but it might, like Sheen said earlier in the year, it might take a minimum of 2 or 3 years. So hopefully we can just get a few experienced guys that are good established players back to our club to help, like get the right mix.
He also said, we're not a club that can afford the third parties. We have to grow them ourselves, which you kind of touched on.
That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, already, Rob.
And that's what worried me.
Yeah, it does. I mean, as you said, he's being honest. But,
definitely.
Man, it just makes me think the salary cap is a bit of a joke then, isn't it? Like, the whole idea of it is other teams shouldn't be able to spend more money on players, and... Yeah,
but it's not just that, Josh. Contracts are a joke as well now. So even if we sign the next Benji Marshall for 3 or 4 years and he has a dummy spit, the clubs can't afford to put a big contract in reserve grade anymore. We just seem to cut them free like we did with Madison or whoever. So
Josh Allier,
Josh Allier, there's countless numbers of them that we just say, you can go. Like, for example, if Sheens and Gould met today, doesn't matter what the contract situation is of the players. If they wanted to make a swap tomorrow or for next year, they could do it, even if they've got 2 years left to run on it. Like Canterbury might want to offload, Luke Thompson or someone like that, But I'm a bit worried about that because I feel like Gus would get the better end of a negotiation somehow. So yeah, I don't think we're going to be improved by getting any Canterbury players unless we get the ones they probably want to keep, like the Matt Burtons or the Carraz or the new centre that debuted last week. He had a really good game too. We definitely need some outside backs.
A fun little thing he said, because obviously he was talking to Scott Sattler, who played at the West Tigers in 2004, and of course everyone remembers 2003. Scott Sattler. I wonder if he gets sick of it. I remember, so I was walking past Concord Oval in 2004, so I was 17 years old, and I walked in, and I just happened to all the players were kind of standing around. They're actually dividing the jerseys, handing out the jerseys for the sevens, which is such a weird thing for NRL club. They're literally handing each other their jerseys for the weekend or something. And I got autographs on my jerseys, and I said to Scott Sattler, I go, that tackle was awesome, and he kind of just laughed at it. It's like he must hear that, like, it's one of the most iconic things in rugby league history, and I guess you got to be proud of it. But I wonder if he's like, can someone ask me about something else in my career? But apparently, at the end of every session that year, Liam Fulton and Bryce Gibbs would basically take turns. One of them would have to run down the sideline. The other person would basically have to chase after him. And he says he'd get the shits because they'd absolutely smash each other. And this was at captain's run, so the day before a game. So like they were risking injury, but he goes, they were just absolute lunatics and just kind of taking the piss out of Scotty Sattler, who was in the team as well. I just thought that was pretty funny story. And Liam Fulton, obviously we've had him on the show before, not to get Bryce Gibbs on one day as well. He said Benji's rung Papa. You mentioned this before, Rob. He's reassured him, told him he's going to coach. Basically, before he even came out that Benji was going to coach, he rang Papa and told him the plan for him is to play offensive and give him lots of ball. And he basically had a little jipe is that a word? Gripe? Little jab at Parramatta, saying we can actually improve his game, and because we want to give him more ball. So yeah, he reckons his best football's ahead of him, and yeah, so basically they were telling him, look, don't be afraid that you'll come here and your game won't improve. They're going to play a style of footy that'll suit him. Does that excite you, or is it just a bit of the fact that we'll get Papa? Man, but him and Appy, he talked a bit about Appy as well. Those two guys alone should add quite a lot to our attack next year.
Yeah, for sure. Thing with Appy is I don't think we're going to get him until next year, because I think the Panthers this year are going to go all the way to the grand final, if not win the whole thing. And then he may end up being selected in the World Cup squad too. Papali'i, on the other hand, we may get him later in the season, like December-ish, depending on how long their mandated breaks are for off seasons. But it does excite me because I've seen what he's been able to do this year and what he's doing in this game even now. And it's something we need in the team. Having lost Luciano and losing Kelma when Kelma was actually playing decent, I think he's a big gain. And if we're going to get him the ball, it can only be a good thing, giving him as much ball as we can.
Last note I had, he said a lot of our juniors have come through a winning culture. So obviously our Maggies won the Harold Matts this year. Yeah. So, yeah, Rob, do you think that makes a big difference? A junior coming, I know definitely a lot of when people are drafting basketball players, they put a lot of emphasis on the guys from colleges that win a lot. Do you think rugby league's the same? Do you think juniors that are used? I mean, it's definitely worked for Penrith because they won absolutely everything coming every year. Those guys, there's some ridiculous stat about Cleary and Luai that they've only lost like a handful of games through their whole like junior and senior career. So do you think juniors that are used to winning, that translates into winning in NRL?
I think it does. I mean, it definitely helped us with our premiership. And to use that Penrith example, I look at the two guys that I've mentioned quite a few times this year, Taylor May and Isaiah Tago. They came into first grade and just bang, they were like playing as if they'd been there for years and with a lot of confidence. So, yeah, if kids are used to winning and they come into first grade, I know it's a massive step up in class, but they don't have that, what's the word, trauma or scar tissue of losing year after year after year. It's certainly got to help. I mean, it's not a guarantee for success, but you're better off having kids that are used to winning than used to losing. So, yeah, I definitely think it helps. I think Sheens is right there.
Okay, moving on to the game this weekend. So 4 p.m. Sunday, we are playing against the North Queensland Cowboys, Toddy Payton's side. So the backs, we have picked Dane Laurie fullback. Our wings this week are Brent Naden and Ken Mamalo. In the centres, Stafford Toa and Kepa Owa. In the halves, Adam Dwayhe is back in the 6, and Luke Brooks is in the number 7, much to the dismay to the majority of our fan base. Nofaluma is in the squad, but not named on the wing. Do you think Nof squeeze into there? Like, why? I said it to Rob at the game on, when did we play last week? Sunday. That, man, I think we underrate Noffa. Just as much as I love Tupou, I just feel like Noffa, we underrate him a little bit. And, man, I think you got to get rid of Kepa Owa or Stafford, put Nate in the centres and put Noffa on a wing. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would. Nate into the centres. I mean, you could probably have Tupou as the other centre as well, but then you've got two very experienced wingers in Noffa and Mamalo. So I think that's a pretty decent backline. I think, especially with Laurie at fullback as well. I think that would be a better back five than what we've got now.
And Rob, Naden on the wing, like isn't he a centre?
He's played both. He even played both spots with Canterbury this year as well. Look, to use what you're saying, Josh, if Nofaluma comes in, I would definitely see Kapoa dropping out and Naden to left centre and then Toa over to right centre and Kenny would play left wing. So, but after last weekend, I mean, that was an unexpected late switch of Mamalo and Toa playing on the other side. Personally, I wouldn't have Toa in the team. I think defensively, he's just been, too loose. They carved him up last week, especially the first 15, 20 minutes. I know it didn't really reflect too much on the scoreboard, but his first contact isn't really good enough. I mean, he's trying hard. I'm not doubting he's trying, but look, a lot's going to depend on Noffa. If Noffa plays, then I think that's the way it goes. If Noffa doesn't play, well, then I guess it stays the same. But I am disappointed, even though he didn't play well. I'm disappointed Junior Tupou isn't playing from a future perspective, like just giving more games, and we know what we're going to get with these other guys. So it'll just be interesting to see how we actually line up on Sunday.
Cat Bros, I'm assuming that's Ryan and not Az typing away on his phone while he's on air. A Tiger's really off Laurie. Twitter has been criticising him more and more. Now the story about Staines has been targeted. do they realise Laurie, I think, has had one season at fullback with a season injury? Yeah, look, I haven't given up. Dane Laurie has been a bit meh for a while now, but I'm not ready to give up on him just yet. I still think there's a good fullback in there. Rob, what are your thoughts on Dano?
I think we're all comparing Dane Laurie this year to Dane Laurie last year, and Dane Laurie last year was fantastic. So, when you're comparing the 2 years, they're chalk and cheese. I've said it to you guys privately, like his defensive kicks is really scary. Like, I'm actually a bit concerned he doesn't attack the ball. I think he's lost a lot of confidence in catching the ball on the full. And we're starting a lot of sets 10 or 15 metres out from our line instead of 30 metres out. And Junior Super was guilty of that last week as well. There were a couple of balls there he could easily have caught on the full that weren't even bounces. So, look, I don't know if the club's got its mind made up on Dane Laurie, but it could be second-year syndrome with us. I'm not sure. I'm not writing him off, but I am very disappointed because I just saw this little gem of a player last year that played above his size and was so dynamic, and I'm just not seeing that same guy this year.
Brocker said he did Instagram live tonight. I did see that pop up. Someone said something, and he admitted to needing to put on a bit of size. So less backflips at the skate park and more protein and lifting weights in the off season, maybe. Then, yeah,
pretty hard to put on size in his position with all the running he's got to do too. You got to save that for the off season.
So yeah, size is done in the off season. I mean, you only have to look at the photo we tweeted of Sean Blaw, the size of his freaking arms at the moment, because he's got a knee injury, but if they're out injured, then the conditioning is very different to a player, because the players, if you're in season, there's very little conditioning because they've got to recover between games. Like, it's all about recovery and game plan and that sort of thing. All your fitness and conditioning is done in the summer. So yeah, definitely. Players will even tend to lose. Yeah, as you said, lose weight throughout the season. So yeah, he's going to have to smash the calories. He seems like the kind of kid. He's only young too. I reckon he'd be able to smash 8 cheeseburgers and not put on weight. But yeah, Dano definitely. You don't want him to lose his speed at the same time. But I mean, you look at Tedesco. Tedesco got a bit of a, not that I can talk, but Teddy's got a little bit of a belly on him, and he's still obviously the best fullback in the world. So maybe Dano bulking up will help him as well. But I'm not ready to. I mean, he's 22 years old. So
he's pretty young. I'm not sure what his age is.
I'm not giving up on Dan. He's got another year in his contract. I really wouldn't hope he doesn't sign elsewhere. Even the club gives him 2024. Top him up a year. Give him another year to work it out, especially under Benji as well. I mean, Benji ball might suit Dano as well. I mean, that might be a bit of it too. Our attack in general is just boring as batshit at the moment. So if the guy at the back playing fullback isn't getting opportunities, can we really blame him? So I still like Dano. I'm not out on him just yet. As the Cowboys backline, who scares you the most in there?
Definitely Valentine Holmes. He's been known even back in his Sharks days to tear us apart. He's definitely a massive threat out there, especially on being on the same side of the field as Kyle Felt. It's been a very dangerous side of the field for the Cowboys this year, and will definitely be very dangerous again on Sunday, Arvo.
Rachel, just on a bit of a tangent, she asked who's coaching this week with Noddy and Sheens with COVID. Benji's taken over, isn't he, Rob?
No, I'd assume it'd be Farah and Gardner.
Gardner, okay.
Surely.
Yeah, I think that's what the article I saw earlier in the week, the other day, said. Both of the assistant coaches would be the ones taking over.
Righto, we'll move on to the forward pack. So we have Front row is again Jimmy Tamau and Joe Offengowie. No, Jimmy Tamau was on the bench last week, wasn't he? So Jimmy Tamau has come on for his 300th game. He's going to start. As you said on Monday's show, as he's playing his old club. And New Brown still at hooker. Luke Garner and Kelma Tuolagi still in the back row. They're getting a farewell tour in first grade. And Jacko Hastings is still at lock. Rob, I mean, it sounds like a broken record, but Kelma Tuolagi was still in first grade.
And Luke Garner. I don't know anymore, Josh. I can't even, like you said, we've discussed it a few times. I'm assuming Fanua Pole got not relegated, but just it's more out of respect to Jimmy Tamu to run on and start his 300th game. I can't be on form because, Pole was one of our best forwards last week. If we're talking the development path and looking to next year and all this sort of stuff, I just don't get why we're playing guys that are literally no use to us for next year. I understand you have to have a balance and have a bit of youth with a bit of experience, but who have we got there that's young? Literally Pole and New Brown, in that forward pack. Like who else is there that's a kid? I mean, obviously Tuolagi is too, but I mean he's leaving, so I just don't know why we need them there, guys. We're getting beat every week anyway, so that's something that they'll have to explain, themselves one day. But I know we're talking all this good stuff about 2023, etc. I just feel it's disrespectful to this year how we're going about our last 6 or 7 games. I just want to fast forward, mate. It's just very hard to talk about games that you feel. I actually think we've got zero hope. Like after what I saw last Sunday, like basically a 20-25 minute effort. Like if I was the coaching group, if I was Farah and Gardner this week, I'd be replaying the girls' game from last Saturday and just showing them what intensity is for. It was 80 plus minutes, really 70 minutes, extra time, whatever. And by the way, shouts to Keely Brown for coming on Monday night. We got some really good feedback on that. And g'day to Gussie who watched the game with me on Saturday. It was really good fun to meet him. But yeah, I just want to see an 80-minute performance, and I hope we can get it this week. I hope the boys can lift for Jimmy Tamo. I know he hasn't been a Tiger for too long, but for any player to play 300 games, they deserve an intense effort if they've got any respect for the man. So I just hope we can find a performance from somewhere, and hopefully the Cowboys are still reeling from their no try to Taumalolo last week and they fell apart shortly afterwards. So, it'd be nice to upset them and maybe turn their season around, and send them spiraling down the other way. But I can't see it, guys.
Good comment from Kathy on the Facebook. Shane Payton won't disrespect us and rest players for this game. Well played, Kathy. If you look at their forward pack, Cohen Hess, Luciano Leilua in the front row. I don't believe he ever played front. Never played front row for us, did he? It's always
I think they're just trying to squeeze 3 back rowers in.
Yeah. Reece Robson at hooker, Tom Gilbert and Jeremiah Nanai back row, and then Jason Tomalolo at lock. It's a pretty good forward pack.
Just a little bit. It scares me deeply. I think I mentioned Luciano as a front rower in the Discord on Tuesday when the team lists were announced. It does seem a bit of a strange one, but I guess if they've got second rowers in the 10, 11 and 12, although I wonder if that's going to tire Luch out more. Maybe if we run at him a little bit more, it might make him a bit more tired, might lessen his impact against us, but I don't really see it happening. He's very dangerous, and he's found a new lease on life since he's gone up there, and I think he's going to absolutely carve us up on Sunday, Arvo.
Yeah, Rob, this is, are you shitting yourself metaphorically at this forward pack on behalf of the boys?
No, I'm not shitting myself. Like they're going. Look, if we play 6 forwards, we can play with them, we can match them. But Noddy was talking in the press conference the other day about you just mentioned it before. Penrith disrespecting us. Like, I think we disrespected ourselves by playing 8 backs. Like, we've got to bite the bullet and drop one of the 3 halves, and we know who it should be. And you just can't go up to North Queensland in that sort of humidity and play, 4 running forwards and a dummy half, because Jacko's only going to take the ball up if there's nothing on. Jacko's steering the ship still. So it's such a Sheensy thing to do. And I just think, I just don't want to see it this week. I really want, if Brooks is going to play number 7, then he's got to be first receiver. If he's not going to be first receiver, then just get him out of first grade or put him at number 14 or do something. You just can't have a left 5'8" and a right 5'8" and a halfback and don't have an actual lock. It's just ridiculous, Josh. And I just think we're going to be up against it before we start. And it really hurts me, because we're disrespecting 2022. We're just trying to keep everyone happy until we decide what we're going to do. And then if we decide, okay, we don't want Brooks, well, then we might drop him. Or if we don't want Hastings, then we might play him off the bench or whatever the case may be. But how you can't play Hastings and Dwayhe and have Brooks right out of there now, it just defies logic. I think if you ask, 8 out of every 10 Tigers fans, they'd all say Jacko at 7, Dwayhe at 6, Brooks at either 14 or left out. They wouldn't have it any other way.
Yep.
Yeah, it's odd. We've got to see that by the end of the year, surely. Like, they're trying everything else.
Well, Brooks can play 25 or 30 minutes at hooker if he comes off the bench. And if something, heaven forbid, happens to Hastings or Dwayhe during the game, he can come on and play in the halves. Yeah. So I just think he'd be perfect. If you're trying to win games, he'd be perfect to have at number 14. If you're actually getting rid of him and you're going to offload him to Newcastle or wherever the case may be, then don't play him at all. I don't care what he's costing this year. Like, we've got to start building for 2023. And what scares me is by not dropping him, I believe we're planning for him to be our halfback next year. And that makes no sense to me whatsoever, because he's not a game manager.
So on the bench, Fanua Pole, Zane Musgrove, Alex Seyfarth, and Tyrone Peachy are back. So on the reserves outside of that, Austin Diaz at 18, Jock Madden, Justin Madamua, Jimmy Roberts, and David, as I mentioned earlier, David Nofaluma. He's in the 22 jersey. We've already talked about Nofa. Is there anyone else of those 5 that you would like to put into the side that's missing?
I'm going to go outside of those 5 and say, where the hell is Jake Simpkin? He's the one I'd like to see on the bench instead of Peachy. Peachy there is the selection that has absolutely done my head in. That's that one. Yeah, that one's a puzzler.
Yeah, I'm with Anthony. I mean, we just talked about trying to fit halves in, but Jock Madden, I want to see him having a crack. Maybe, North Queensland heat might suit him too. I definitely want to see Jock as well. Rachel on Facebook said, Peachy, why? Can you answer that, Rob?
The only thing I can answer that with is probably what everyone's been saying about Brooks, which I don't understand with Brooks, because we know what Brooks can offer. Maybe they're playing Peachy because they've told him he can go negotiate elsewhere.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing no one wants him. Literally no one wants him. So maybe if he comes on for 20 or 30 minutes and can play a bit of his better football, some club might say, well, hang on, this guy's still got a bit to offer, we'll grab him. But with Brooks, we know what he offers every week. So we don't need to keep advertising Brooks to know what Brooks has got. But that, again, if you're looking for 2023, why are you playing Peachy? So the only reason I can see is they want him to just get a bit of footy. Hopefully, the Dolphins or someone like that sees him and says, you know what, this guy can add to our squad. Let's pick him up. Because right now, no one obviously wants him and no one's going to, bother with him in New South Wales Cup. So I can't see any other logical reason for playing Peachy. It's just ridiculous if we talk about being this development club and we're playing all these guys that aren't going to be there next year.
And Seyfarth coming back. People are starting to be out on Seyfarth. What do you boys think about Big Red, Aaron?
I don't mind him. I think he's got a little bit to offer off the bench. I don't think he's really found that spot as a starter yet. But yeah, give him a bit more bench time, see how he goes. I mean, dropping Matamua is probably a little bit more on the necessary side after the last few weeks he's had, or the last week in particular. I think I mentioned it on Monday, but just the footy IQ didn't really seem to be there. So if he's got a bit of time to develop that under Benji and Robbie and whoever else is in the coaching staff, then that's good for him. So yeah, maybe giving Seafarth another go isn't too terrible an idea.
Rob, anything else in that team list that I've missed that caught your eye?
No, just look, as I said, if we're looking for next year, you'd probably say, why is Matamua not there? And as Aaron said, that gaping hole he left with 5 minutes left, wasn't good and led to Penrith's winning try. So I would say that the coaching staff have basically said to Matamua, you know what, mate, you're trying hard, you're running off the back fence. We love what you're doing, giving him a bit of a cuddle, but said, you know what, we'll get you back and have another few games in New South Wales Cup. We'll give you like 2 or 3 weeks there and we'll bring you back in about a month or so. But for now, you need to learn certain aspects of your game. So that's the only reason. I can understand that. That's fine, because you can't be leaving 5 metre holes, one off the ruck, and getting sidestepped and not turning around. So I understand why he got dropped. But at the same time, I would have preferred him to be in first grade, but I can totally understand why they did it. So,
but there's no cup this week. So
yeah, okay, yeah, but still, I mean, he's obviously, they recognise he's a weakness.
Yeah. Righto. So prediction time, boys. The weather, wouldn't it be nice to have 24 degrees weather? I've been to Townsville twice to watch the Tigers play, and man, it's just the best. It's so good going in the middle of winter, going the footy in shorts and in short sleeves. It's just absolute best. I highly recommend anyone to go up to Townsville, stay on Magnetic Island. It's a cool little town. So weather looking good for Sunday afternoon. Very odd for Cowboys to have a Sunday afternoon. They're normally a Saturday night team, but the betting $1.08 for the North Queensland Cowboys and $8 for our Tigers, which is pretty similar to, I guess, when we beat Parramatta. The prices were about that at Easter, weren't they?
The prices when we beat Para were a little bit higher. I think we went into the round at $9 to win, and we went into the game after the team update an hour before kickoff at $10. So
you're telling me there's a chance?
We're favoured just a little bit more than we were then.
Yeah,
but it's like a cent or two difference for the Cowboys from what it was for Para when we beat them.
The line's at 19.5. Rob, can we keep it under 20? Jesus Christ!
Look, I don't think so, Josh. But I'm hoping the fact that I thought there was a lack of intensity last week, that we will bounce back with some intensity. I know they're not going to bother watching us on the podcast or whatever, but seriously, like, they played like pussycats for a lot of that game last week, and they need to be proud of that jumper. And I want to be able to sit down and watch a game and think we've got a chance. But $1.08 is overs, mate. It should be $1.01. Seriously, like, they're going to bounce back off a loss. We're gonna fade if we're going to play 3 halves. I want to see 6 forwards for a start. We can't just be accommodating 3 halves just to keep players happy. So, and with the heat up there, I think it'll just, it'll take its toll in the second half. So I'm sure we'll come out the first 15, 20 minutes and give it a red hot crack. But once the scoreboard, gets ugly, I think it'll get uglier.
What's bank interest? What do the banks offer at the moment for interest?
Not as much as $1.08.
Yeah, 8%. Not bad.
Yeah, look, like I say, man, I don't want to
bet responsibly.
I don't want to death ride our team. The only good thing that could come out of this, if we get walloped, is this 3 halves thing gets just canned, and they bite the bullet next week and put Brooks at number 14 or just drop him. And I say that with respect to Brooks, because I think Hastings and Dwayne played better than him last week. It's not about Brooks tried hard. I've got no issue with how his effort or anything like that. He's just not as good as the other 2 blokes, and we can't carry 3 of them in first grade.
Ryan made a good point, Cat Bros. He said at Leichhardt I could see it, but in Townsville was no hope, not even being mean. Yeah, but obviously not being. We totally agree with you, Ryan. Like, definitely the players between Leichhardt, even our home ground at Parramatta last week, Rob, and as you did definitely notice that energy and attitude was very different to the week before at Leichhardt, let alone literally the furthest you can be from Sydney in Townsville. So, which is a pretty good crowd up there for the home side. So, yeah,
and we didn't even get a home game against them this year, considering our home game against them was Magic Round.
Yeah, exactly. Gussie, $8 is better than Cardano. Is that a UFC reference again that I'm missing, Gussie? What's Cardano?
I don't know any of the UFC references.
GD Tiger back 3. Luciano 3 tries. He's playing front row, so he might not play 80 minutes. But I mean, ex-players always seem to score against us. Josh Elliott got a double, so yeah. It definitely, could be a possibility. But yeah, well, score predictions, boys, before we wrap up.
I'll go 42-6 Cowboys.
Yeah, I'll go 32-10 Cowboys.
I reckon we can score 3. Maybe score 3 tries in that weather. I'm going to go 36-22. I reckon we can go under that line, keep them within 20. But yeah, as you said, I mean, I reckon a good bet would probably be halftime being unders. I don't know what the line is for halftime, but yeah, the second half.
Let me check it for you.
Even a first half win, maybe. But yeah, Kathy, where's that try coming from? I don't know. Intercept.
We'll take an intercept try any day.
I don't know.
Good question. Probably Kenny. Kenny seems to deliver every week, but is Kenny going to be on the left or is Kenny going to be on the right? Like, you just don't know what.
Yeah.
You couldn't be backing try scorers not knowing where our players are going to play every week. So I'd wait till the squad gets trimmed down, so you know for sure that Noffa's not playing. I mean, Noffa will make a big difference if he comes in. He really will. We'll be starting our sets in better positions. So yeah,
it'd be nice if Brooksy fucking kicks it to him as well. I mean, Jacko's kick to him was bang on, but Brooksy.
Yeah.
Jeez, how beautiful was Jacko's kick to Kenny last weekend? Need more of that.
And Kenny's effort after he caught the ball, mate. Kenny had 4 blokes on him and found a way to twist and turn and get the ball down on the ground. Like, there was some effort there from individuals. It just wasn't there collectively the whole game.
Rob, I don't know if you remember, as soon as Jacko had the ball in his hands, do you remember what I was screaming out?
You were screaming out a lot of things, Josh, that I had to filter.
It wasn't a swear word. I was screaming out, "Come on, Ken! Come on!" Like, before I even kicked him, like, "Come on, Ken!" Like, it's the guy's unreal at that. I don't know why we don't try it more often. But,
I honestly, I reckon he would have scored 2 or 3 if Kenny played on the left last week, especially opposite a much shorter Staines and having Robert Jennings on that side. I think our left edge would have carved him up, to be fair. So I was just pissed off that we swapped our edges around.
Yeah, Shuey, 1 try from Kenny, 1 from AD. I mean, AD, man, I feel for him. Just that try he scored was just last week was just pure want. Like,
he took off before he got the ball, Josh. He took off before he got the ball. He wanted that so badly, and he's just a tiger through and through. And you know, he's unfortunately he's going to have to be doing that all night. And I just don't think he can do it on his own. Like, he needs everyone else to get around him.
Yeah. Gussie said Cardano is a cryptocurrency. Taking the piss out of me saying it's a UFC fighter. Sorry, Gussie. 2 things I don't know about: cryptocurrency and UFC. Sorry, buddy.
So the halftime handicap.
What was that as?
The halftime handicap is just 9.5. So
Yeah, I don't mind that.
within 10 at halftime.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know what the weather's going to be like up there too. So, I mean, unless you guys know already, but
You don't see my
if
screenshot there.
it's good conditions. Oh, sorry.
Oh, you can't. You're on the phone. Yeah, 24, partly cloudy.
Oh no, mate. Anyway, let's see how we go. Come on, Tigers. Play like Tigers, not like pussycats. Come on.
Yeah.
Do either of you have a pick for an anytime try scorer? I can tell you what their odds are.
Definitely like, for value, I like Nanai. I think the hooker,
You're going to name the whole fucking Cowboys squad.
Yeah,
just
the
one by
hooker
one.
and the fullback. The hooker and the fullback.
Clint, anyone mention my halftime kick? Is this who was kicking in the bin?
Yeah.
I mentioned that. I mentioned it.
Yeah.
How did he go, by the way? I don't even remember paying attention to it.
I remember his first one was the first
three.
one was close.
I think the last one from the furthest away was the closest. It was the one that had the crowd going, ooh.
It was hard to tell because we were sitting perpendicular to you because we're at the halfway. It was kind of hard to work out. The distance looked pretty good on the technique. Seemed to be pretty good. Had a bit of the backspin, AFL backspin on it, but it's hard. That's hard. But yeah, not on you, Clint.
That's all right, Clint. Brooksy wouldn't have done any better anyway, mate.
Yeah.
You probably got closer than half the team would have.
Just kind of on that, just a bit of a tangent. I don't know if you guys have ever watched both NFL and NBA. Their All-Star / what's the NFL one called? Pro Bowl. They do like a skills challenge thing. Yeah. And in like the Pro Bowl, they have like a moving car for the target, and the quarterback's got to hit it, and then they have all these competitions. Why the NRL hasn't thought of doing this? Like, just I don't know. Like the NBA's got the 3-point contest. We should have a field goal contest. Like, there's so many cool games you could make, and it's the TikTok / Instagram era, highlights and stuff. Like, it's good when you do the All-Star game. Have skills challenges. Like, surely
Josh,
it's got to be.
Back in the mid to late 70s, we actually had something at Leichhardt Oval that, whoever ran the comp back then, I think it might have been the New South Wales Rugby League or ARL, whoever it was called the League Olympics. And they, and they actually did what you're talking about. So it was like who had the biggest kick, who had the longest goal line dropout. I can't remember it all because I was only quite young at the time, but they did do that once. So it'd be interesting to see who's got the biggest kick and all that sort of thing. So we could do something like that. It'd be perfect to do when you've got like State of Origin weekend and stuff like that. When you got a void to fill, or put it on before, or just have a separate day for it or something like that. But I just watched the baseball one yesterday, so that was quite
good. That's on this. The home run.
The home run derby. Yeah, that was really cool.
Bring in the grand final sprint like the AFL have.
Yeah, the other thing with sprint, I guess, maybe someone can, if you Tom Travojevic, you might pull a hammy or something. But yeah, there's sprint.
Did you see Benji this week with Paddy Richards and Steve Roach? So I actually forgot about Pat Richards' 70+ meter dropout on the full. I'd actually totally forgotten about it. I can't believe anyone could do a drop kick that went that far. It was ridiculous.
It just went so high up, and it looked like it was never coming down that ball.
Yeah, it was the perfect kick. It really was.
The 55-meter penalty goal at ANZ.
Like I remember in the League Olympics, Mark Harris did a goal line dropout. So if you're watching on TV from the what would it be, the southern side, and it went 75 meters, but it probably bounced about 15 or 20 meters. And Paddy Richards just carried this one on the full 70. It was incredible.
Yeah. Is he any relation to Gus Harris, Rob?
No, definitely not. Unfortunately, late Mark Harris. He was a great rooster from the mid 70s, and he passed away. I think it was last year. Okay. So great player. He actually played American football for a season or so. Josh, his kicking was that good. I think he played for a Canadian gridiron team. So they definitely recognise his talent
in the Canadian Football League.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's probably the Canadian Football League probably pays as good a wages as the NRL.
Oh, they were on a few $100s a year back in the mid-70s, mate. It was nothing.
Yeah,
You'd be lucky
true.
to get
Yeah,
1,000 or 2,000. So
yeah. Righto. That just about does us for the show for the night. Thank you to everyone tuning in. I assume Para lost, boys. I haven't got a TV in this
yeah,
room.
36-14.
Good.
Incredible.
Sucks shit.
36-14.
Doesn't bode well when we play the Broncos next week.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know, but I like
Up
Parramatta
on their
losing.
turf again.
If there's two teams on support, West Tigers and whoever's playing Parramatta. Next show, Monday night, we'll review this game. Fingers crossed it's not an absolute shit show. We're sick of being negative. We give us something good to talk about, boys. Yes, we don't want to stop sounding depressed and bagging the team. And as Rob said, hit the fast forward button for next season. But yeah, thanks to everyone in the comments tonight, boys. Thanks again. Spending an hour and 20 minutes tonight. We're getting better at the times, guys. We're about one rugby league game for an episode recently. No more Joe Rogan 2-hour specials. So we'll see everyone Monday night. Thanks, legends. Everyone drop it in the comments. Oh, they beat us to it. Stewie's already beat us to it. On you, Stewie.
What's he done?
As always, boys, go the Tigers.
Go the Tigers.
Go the Tigers.
You're listening to another episode of the WestsLife Podcast. As always, we are sponsored by West Ashfield Leagues Club and as well as MG Pump Solutions. If you could please subscribe if you'd love to hear us again. We're going to have episodes twice a week, every week this season, Mondays and Thursdays. So we're going to, as the season rolls in, be sure to catch us every week. And if you can, give us a like on the socials. So at WestsLife Pod on Instagram and Twitter. Search for WestsLife Podcast on Facebook. And if you'd like to take part in the show, patreon.com/WestsLife. It's just a couple of bucks a month to help grow the show. We'll see you again next time on the WestsLife Podcast.